I know I'm late to the party with the news that broke out that Outkast has been inducted in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame recently, and I'm not gonna lie when I say this. First and foremost, congrats to Outkast, man. I love you guys. I've been bumping to you guys for such a long time, roughly since elementary school, middle school to be exact, and I have the honor and the privilege to more or less collect all of their projects here, as you can see. I have all their five main projects. The only project I don't have in this discography of albums is their Ideal Wild album, unfortunately. I remembered I had it at one point, including the movie for some strange reason, but I think I may have donated on accident for whatever the case. But either way, I love Outkast. And Outkast, normally in this type of video, I would probably do like a top six ranking of every Outkast album, right? But I feel like that'll be too long winded. It'll be super hard to like really describe every Outcast album in detail. And I kind of just want to shoot the shit and just simply talk about Outkast and praise them because, like an artist such as Eminem that I just talked about recently when I ranked all of his albums and even talked about his Relapse album, Outkast has a discography that's just goddamn near perfect for more or less their entire discography. Again, I think we can all agree that the weakest project that Outkast has dropped to this day is 2006's Ideal Wow, which I mentioned already. Which I remember that project really well. Unfortunately, I do agree that it is the weakest project just because it isn't as memorable, it isn't as bombastic, it isn't as like crazy of an influence compared to all the other five Outkast albums that they came out swinging out of the gate with. So like every project from Outkast has been incredible. Their production, their source of like where they go for one subject matter to another. Andre's rapping and singing, Big Boy's flows that is just super underrated now in the modern Southern hip hop 18 age that you more or less hear in a lot of modern hip hop albums. And Outkast is honestly like the main duo that everyone always goes back to when they reference to like what made them start rapping in the first place now when looking at current artists like Kendrick Lamar, J. Cole, Drake, The Weeknd, etc. Like there's so many artists that we can name off top of my head that like nowadays if a lot of these artists wouldn't even be here without Outkast. And it makes a lot because a lot of artists would say that AT Aliens is their favorite album of all time or Speaker Box or The Love Below is their favorite album of all time, or even Aquemini, Stankonia, or will be like their favorite projects of all time from Outkast. And again, the quality within these projects are so thin and super marginally close that again, if I were to even do like a tier list of every Outkast album, which is not that hard, majority of these projects would probably be like an S tier to an A tier. I'm just gonna spoil that right here, right now. So with all these Outkast albums that I have under my belt, I mean, I'm missing one to be fair. I figured I might as well do like a quick little like speed run ranking of all six Outkast albums, ranking from the lowest to the highest. Six I've already spoiled it already, with Ideal Wild being the lowest that I think is the weakest from Outkast. At my fifth spot, I would have to go with Speaker Box and The Love Below, just because, while this project is definitely the project I really, was infamous for winning Album of the Year, it was the second hip hop album to win Album of the Year, and it started revolutionizing and popularizing the double album rollout like it did as a result. Um, this project nonetheless is really good, still high quality again, but there's just four other projects from this point forward that are a lot more memorable, a lot more tolerable, and I feel like it's like easy access to anyone that loves Outkast. At the number four spot, I'm gonna have to go with their debut on Silver Playlist of Cadillac Music, which for any Outkast hardcore fans and hip hop fanatics alike, if you study about Southern Playlist of Cadillac Music, this was the project that put Southern hip hop on the map. This had the infamous Andre saying the South got something to say at the 1995 Source Awards, and this was what shaped and popularized Southern hip hop in the first place. And if anything, I wouldn't mind talking about a little bit of history about this project in the near future. So if anyone you wants to hear about it, I will be more than glad to talk about it. But moving on, of course, next on here for the next project at number three, I'll go with Outkast's AT Aliens. Really great. This is like probably the most talked about project here that is highly been like every artist's like go-to project when they're like, oh yeah, which Outkast album would inspire you the most? And everyone always points out 18 Aliens. And it makes sense because this was a different shift compared to their debut album. And I couldn't agree more. Like it just feels super cool, really creative. But at the time, what's kind of funny is that a lot of Outkast fans during the 1990s did not like 18 Aliens. And then, of course, it leads us to my number two favorite album from Outkast, which is Aquemini, which puts all that hate to shame. And Aquemini for me was like the moment that Outkast really got to full fruition, really showcased what they're truly capable of. And for a lot of people, and even myself included, Aquemini used to be my number one favorite Outkast album for the longest time. And as I've gotten older in age, it was pretty obvious that at my number one spot, my favorite album now from Outkast I just tend to listen to is Stankonia from Outkast. This project, I mean, what can truly be said about Stankonia at this point that has been said already? Stankonia is not only the most iconic, most memorable, most explosive project out there, but this was, I believe, their most highly commercial album up until that point. And this was what put Southern hip hop on the map and truly was the point of no return. Where if you thought Southern hip hop was going to go away, nope. From this point forward, there are other Southern hip hop artists outside of Outkast who were blowing up around this time, such as Ludacris, the rise of Lil Wayne after his debut album. There's also Juvenile, which even though he did drop his big 400 Degrees album prior to that year, he was still a really big artist. And more or less, like the whole Cash Money roster that was like full of Southern hip hop artists in that mix were blowing up. So again, Stout Outcast Stankonio for me would be like my favorite album to this day. And again, I know I could go in much, much, much more detail with all these projects that I talked about now, but it would be like a 1 hour, 2 hour long video talking about it because at the end of the day, Outcast is just a really great and really consistent group of artists, more or less, and they have projects under their belt that are just absolutely incredible and are just easily accessible to anyone worldwide. And all I gotta say is that if you haven't listened to a single Outkast album, what the hell are you doing? Go listen to these albums right here, right now, man, and you will see why Outkast is absolutely beloved, why Outkast is considered the greatest hip hop artist of all time, and why their discography is ranked super high and consistently above like everyone's like favorite album of all time. And yeah, that's all I want to talk about. Just wanted to gush over Grammys over Outkast because I was supposed to do it when the it was announced during the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but I figured to like save it for this little video here. And yeah, that's it. I'll see you all in the next one. Later.